Is Dodge dead? Is it dying? Is it on its way out? Does it have any chance of recovering and saving the brand as we know it? I don't know. I have some serious concerns. I'll share that with you in just a second. But first, you got to check out my new intro. Well, it's not that new. It's a few weeks old. All right, so as we have been witnessing for the last few years after Carlos Tavares' disaster, he destroyed Dodge so badly by getting rid of the Hemi cars, reducing Chrysler to just a minivan, and screwing with all the trucks at Ram, getting rid of Tim Kuniskis. All these things took place. Tim's back. They're talking about bringing back Hemis for sure in the trucks. We have yet to have heard whether they're going to do it in the Charger Daytona body. I don't know that they can do that because they've spent so much money, wasted so much money, launching failure after failure after failure at Dodge, meaning that Hornet's been a disaster, the Daytona's been a disaster. If this Inline 6 is a disaster, I don't know how they will have even the money left to keep throwing at it in hopes that we all come back. They would have to do it so quickly, so fast, that they can get us all back before we're gone. And I don't think the Inline 6, as much as I told you all in my last video, there's a lot of really cool things about it. But if they have a failed launch on that thing, it's one more nail in the coffin of Dodge. But let me show you why I think this. So first, y'all know their stock's been in the toilet. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything if there's a new CEO involved and they could launch some stuff that people are going to buy and they can get the company righted and start showing some earnings. They can get the stock price to start coming back up and come out the other end okay. But nonetheless, it looks pretty brutal. Kind of like another company that's had a tough ride lately with Nissan. But let's talk about a year ago, just about a year ago. We're talking about March of last year. Atopian shared this article. The new Dodge Charger, talking about the Daytona EV, cannot fail or Stellantis will have another lost brand. Well, here we are a year later, and we're witnessing this thing failing so badly that Mopar Insider just did an article, and it's nothing new. We've watched this since the first one of these things arrived at the dealerships, and stupid idiot salesmen tried to stick markups on them, and we just roasted them mercilessly. Now they're dropping the prices. I mean, every week it seems like they're throwing more at us to try to get people to buy these things. And frankly, it's working a little bit because I will tell you, at a certain point, it's not a bad-looking car. If you can get it for $300 a month, 0 down, 10,000 miles a year, show me something else you can get for that kind of price that's brand spanking new on a 24-month lease. If that's real, you can get that. I think for the most part, I've seen that happening with employee pricing cars. But if you look at the discounts that you're getting between the $7,500, $3,000 for National Dodge Performance Days, another $2,000 in Conquest, and takes it to like $12,500, almost 20% off. And when they say $49,000 and $62,000 for the Scat Pack Stage 2, I think it's even less than that. And the people I'm talking to are being real upfront about the prices they're getting on these things, which are absolutely well below what you could lease even a $30,000 car for. You're getting them for much less. You're getting them equivalent to $35,000, $36,000 cars on these ridiculously low leases. And they still have to have thousands and thousands of these things sitting in storage lots, and people are just not buying them, and the dealers cannot get them sold. I've traveled dealers. I was at a dealer this last weekend. The salesman said, this is a hard one to move. This is a hard one to sell. Not a lot of people are wanting to buy these things right now. And that seems to be the consensus out there in the marketplace. Then we could talk about the Hornet. Well, that was a massive, colossal failure that cost Dodge a ton of money doing this little experiment, turning a Alfa Romeo Tonale into a Dodge and then trying to convince everybody that it's going to be the next best thing when there is really no market for that thing, even though I think statistically, based on the stats, the car, it's not a bad car if it wasn't so wildly unreliable, which every single article out there this last year or so, this car's been running around, has been screaming and in the forums that this thing is problematic like you wouldn't believe. So that's been a problem. And then you've got the i6 that has to make it. If this thing doesn't take off rapidly, they're going to have to wildly discount this thing. And then if they start having lots of problems and tons of recalls like they've had on their other cars, then they're going to definitely have a problem selling these things. So they have to launch this on time in June at the right price, and or they're going to be hammering us with massive amounts of incentives and then losing money on these as well. But some of you have said, well, if we don't buy it, then they'll have to bring the Hemi out. I worry that if nobody buys it, that they won't have any cash left to throw at Dodge to revive the Hemi cars, because at that point they will have had 3 colossal failures. With that said, there is one more, and I don't want to call it a failure, but it's definitely not a very glorious outcome when you think about it, and it's our beloved Demon 170, the 2023 Demon 170s. Beautiful car, amazing car, technological marvel, and I'm not going to say anything bad about the car, despite there was some issues, engines blowing, there has already been a recall on this thing. There's been plenty of reports of issues to where I believe there is, at the very least, the car is stigmatized a little bit, where if you're buying one with delivery miles, you are hoping and praying that yours is going to be a good one if you plan to drive it. But so many of these on eBay are flipper cars, and you can see where the flipper market is going now. And this guy posted on Facebook, he wants $139,900 for his with 13 miles. That is insane considering, I think it's fair. I think, of course, some of you are going to say it's not even worth that. But considering people were paying $300,000, $200,000 for these things, $139,000, that's a hell of a fall from grace. Hell, 6 months, a year from now, on the forums, guys kept saying, once all the flippers are done, the prices are going to skyrocket. They're going to come back. Well, okay, all that's been happening, and prices continue to get worse on the resale market. And if you bought these things for $150,000, think you're going to make a quick $25,000, $30,000 flipping them, those days are gone, because you look at all of them that are just sitting there on the market. $159,000 sitting there, nobody's buying it. $140,000 is the highest bid on this one. $169,000, $980,000 not selling, not going anywhere with 13 miles. $189,000 dreaming. $199,000 dreaming. It's never going to happen. These guys are just sitting on these cars. You know why they're asking these prices? Because they bought them with the markups and then turned around and put them on the market, and they're hoping to get giant money out of them. But then you got this guy come in and screw it up for everybody and says, give me $139,900 and I'll sell you my car. And we're seeing on the Facebook forums and private groups out there that people are starting to dump them. The fact this has delivery miles for that price is shocking, considering that you just don't see this happening as much. You definitely see some auction cars, but there's auction fees involved. So that's happening with these prices. They're definitely coming down. Now, what I wanted to show you is, if we look at the 2018 Demon, when you look at, let's just say $139,000, $140,000 for a delivery mile 2023 Demon 170, 1,025 horsepower marvel. Here you got the 2018 Demons, 1,673 miles, 110,000, 116,000 with 1,100 miles, 2,733. Look at how far those prices drop. But if you start digging and finding really low mile examples, then you start getting back up into prices that look similar, very similar to the Demon 170s. How in the hell are the 2018 Demons being priced like the Demon 170s? Well, there's a market for it, I guess, or the Demon 170s falling faster than the 2018 Demon, people will drop their prices. But the second you put some miles on these things, the prices will start to drop dramatically. Here's one, $119,000, $122,000, 1,700 miles. So here's the deal. With delivery miles only, you're at $140,000. This means that the Demon prices are crashing, everybody. So this just leads to the Dodge product overall. The luster, the shine has worn off for some reason. Now, I get the market's what it is, interest rates are what it is, the economy is what it is. But when you see the Demon 170 dropping this fast, this hard in this market, it screams out that there isn't a big, huge line of people willing to pay stupid prices for even the greatest Dodge ever made, some would say. I would say that might actually be the 2018 Demon, but nonetheless, the prices are starting to match the 2018 Demons. And just imagine this, if you have one of these things, the second you put miles on this thing, it's a $120,000 car. That's pretty much where it's at, because you're going to see all these other ones start dropping to $130,000, $140,000 all day long if they want to sell them. So that just tells you a little bit about what's going on. People are getting burned badly on those cars. So I want to do this video just to paint the picture that Dodge is in a really tough spot. If they don't get a Hemi out fast, then they're not going to, I don't know that that twin turbo i6 is going to bail them out. They've got 2 failures already. They've got an incoming failure in the twin turbo i6. If that doesn't take off based on your comments in my last video, it ain't looking good for it. And then you've got even their Halo product just plummeting in prices. And the only prices that are holding are dealers, but even dealers are dropping prices, as I shared with you on my last video. As a matter of fact, I think I even have it up on the screen right now. I'll show you. That dealership that I gave a little bit of heat to, they dropped the price to like $158. They raised it today or this last week. $161, $146. Here's $146 from a dealer for a Demon 170. So anybody who wants to argue that those are not real prices, you can go to that dealership, buy that now, and I bet you there's a good chance you can buy this thing for less money as well. Now, this dealer told one of my subscribers that they bought these from another dealer, so they're in them for a lot more money than MSRP. So that means they're going to be holding firm on a little bit higher price, but I bet you they had taken offer. I'd bet anything they had taken offer. So based on all that information, do you think when that article said this last year, they have to make this Daytona work? The Daytona's not working, and neither is the i6 likely going to sell enough. I could be wrong. I mean, I gave a lot of, I think, good points in my last video. Even their Demons are still sitting on lots for $146,000, $161,000, not selling when they were selling for $250,000, $300,000. And we've got this economy that is still in question with higher interest rates that make it just hard for people to go out and spend tons of money on these cars. So do you think Dodge will survive, or do you think this is the end? Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.